Thank you all for joining, and good morning to everyone. Labas rytas, sveiki, tere, and welcome. Today, as we know, AI has become a big part of everyday's work. Employees use ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilots, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity, Cursor, and many other AI tools to work faster, analyze information better, and automate daily tasks. While this brings significant productivity gains, it also introduces a new challenge. Organizations often have little or no visibility into which AI tools are being used, what data is being uploaded, and how AI agents are accessing corporate information. And this is what we call shadow AI. Recently, we have started our cooperation with globally well-known vendor Akamai, and I am excited to introduce you to Rodolfo and Alexander from Akamai's team, who will share and demonstrate how shadow AI challenges can be addressed in today's world. So have a great and useful webinar to all of you. And Rodolfo, you can take over from here. And the stage is yours. No, the screen is yours.
The screen is mine. All right. Hello, everyone. And before we start, I really would like to thank Hermitage, Rinalds, and Julia for organizing this webinar. We are very excited to be here. And on behalf of myself and Alexandra, that will be the main speaker together with me, thank you for being here, for your valuable time. And yes, what we would like to do today is to share with you what we see on the internet, how AI has been and is being transforming the web, and how we can help you to address the challenges, and not only the productivity gain, but the challenges as well that AI is bringing. Today's presentation is divided into two parts. There is a first part, which is the presentation you are seeing, and then we have some demo that we would like to show you. And if you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A box, and we will answer them during or at the end of the presentation. Before we get started, a couple of notes about Akamai. You may or may not know Akamai. Some of you might know the brand because of our content delivery network business. Someone else might know Akamai for our web application Firewall. We have a vast portfolio. And to give you some pointer, Akamai started operation in 1998, so technically it's not anymore a startup. We got more than $4 billion revenue in 2025. And around the world, we are more than 1,100 employees. But the real DNA of Akamai comes from our infrastructure. This is where we started. This is like the heart of our offering. We have a global distributed infrastructure, which is today present in more than 4,400 POPs around the world, more than 130 countries. And this is what we use to deliver and protect content and resources for our customers. As I told you before, Akamai started operation in 1998. We started as content delivery network, and this is reflected into the middle pillar of these slides, which represent the Akamai lines of business. So we have a portion of the business which is still related to the delivery of content. However, pretty early in our history, we started our security operations. So we started developing security services for our customer, and today you will see a portion of it. And we also complete our offering with our cloud computing offering. So now you can use Akamai for the delivery of bits for making your application and employee more secure. and also for compute purposes. But today is really less about the history of Akamai and more about how AI changed everything. And I always like to take like a step back to see where we are, because I think AI is bringing like a fundamental shift into the way the internet works. But if I look at the internet in the entire history, probably the first 20 years of the usage of internet were human-centric. Everything that was happening there was driven by people getting to a website, getting information, exchanging information. From the early 2010, things start to become machine assisted. Translated into Akamai language, it means that we started to see more and more content that we were serving that was not requested by humans. Instead, it was requested by some kind of machine, automated machine, or bots. However, in the era of AI, we are moving into a world that is more and more machine to machine rather than driven by human. We are still there, of course. We are getting information, but the way the information is exchanged is more and more machine to machine. To give you an idea, today, less than 50% of the overall web activity we see are done by human, and 51% is done by, let's say, bots for now. But these represent everything that is not a person doing an interaction. And this is a staggering number, and AI is a big driver of this number. So most of the interaction are not done by people today. And another effect of AI is what you see in this picture. This graph represents the time to exploits. So the time it was needed between a new vulnerability is being announced and the exploit of the same. If you look at 2022, which is not that long ago, the time to exploit was roughly 10 months, 9.7 months. So a new vulnerability is announced. The time to use that vulnerability by an attacker was 9 months. Today, in 2026, it's 9 hours. So you have no time to actually patch a vulnerability because the attacker will use that vulnerability earlier than you can actually patch it. And we can say that due to AI, we are in a new world. And what you see here are 5 elements, 4 pillars, and another one below that we think is worth paying attention in a world driven by AI. And all of this is something we look from a security standpoint. We will cover each one of them in the next few minutes, but in a nutshell, our view is that in a world where a vulnerability is used in less than 9 hours, in a world where you have new models like Mythos or GPT 5.5 that are there exactly to find vulnerabilities, those are the elements to look at. The first one is protect API usage. The second one is to make sure that we are able to stop application attacks as soon as they are generated. The third one is to control automation. I spoke about 50%, more than 50% of the web exchanges being done by non-human. This is automation. We need a way to control it. The fourth pillar, we want to make sure we secure the AI interactions. And we don't want to be naive. The assumption, and this is what you see with the contain movement in the lower part of this slide, the assumption is that sooner or later, some type of breach will happen, and we want to be able to contain the effect of that breach so that it doesn't spread around the network. Let's have a look at each of those elements one by one. The first one, as I said, is protect API usage. And API is a topic that is very trendy in the last few years. And when I meet customer and I ask, how do you secure your APIs? How many? I ask usually simple question like, how many API do you have in your network? Who is the business owner of those APIs? Do you know how those API are interacting one with the other? Most of the customer have very little information. Here you can see some statistics, and we did some research with our customer, and we have discovered that if a customer has a full inventory of their API, which is already something pretty rare to find, only 27% of those customers know which API are actually returning sensitive data. This is just to say that there is very little visibility from the customer we have interviewed about what API they are using and how they are used. However, in the last year, 42% of the leak has been attributed somehow to to APIs that were AI powered. So that's a big blind spot for our customer that we want to address. And the more customer use different AI system that may or may not be approved, the more API usage is there. So these make the need of knowing what is happening even more important. Within Akamai, we have developed a solution that we call API Security, which is doing exactly what we have explained a few moments ago. The idea is we want to provide three elements to our customer when it comes to APIs. The first one is visibility. We want to let our customer know what API they are actually in use, full visibility into what is happening within their network from an API perspective. The second element, we want to let the customer know if there is any misconfiguration of their API. If there are API that are supposed to be, for example, authenticated, but they are actually not enforcing the authentication, this is a misconfiguration, and we want the customer to know and fix that problem. And the third element, we want to help customer understanding it if there is any type of abuse of their APIs. If someone, for example, is invoking APIs in the wrong way, for example, too many times per minute, or behaving in a way that is not the one the API has been designed, this is the reason why we are here. And when you say API in the era of AI, you also need to speak the MCP language. MCP is like the glue of AI that allow the different AI system to interact one with the other or with the legacy system within the network. We also have visibility into MCP protocol and MCP server to help our customer understand what is happening within their network. This is the first pillar, but it's not the only one. The second one is to stop application attacks. I mentioned Mythos, I mentioned GPT 5.5 a few moments ago. In the early slide, we mentioned the time to exploit, which went down significantly. Now you might have applications that are exposed to the internet, and those applications might be your public website or B2B applications that are there. And even if it's fully patched, there might be open to some type of application attack. Some of you might know Akamai because of our web application firewall that we have been bringing to the market for the last probably 15 years. So this new word, AI-driven, makes the need of having a web application firewall in front of web applications and APIs even more important. We have been doing this forever, but it's just more important than ever. Something I forgot to say at the beginning, Akamai sees between 20 to 30% of the global internet traffic. So we have a pretty good idea of what is happening out there, what type of attack are happening, and we are using machine learning, that we like to call AI as well, of course, to understand what's going on. And these allow us to publish new rule for our web application firewall when we start seeing new type of attacks. We have the ability of automating those rules to make them available to our customers as soon as possible. So we need to protect APIs, we need to stop application attacks, but we also need to control automation. We want to make sure that in a world where more than 50% of the traffic is done by non-human, we understand what's going on. Think about your interaction with let's take Google, for example. Your interaction in 2022 and your interaction today in 2026. I'm pretty sure that just like me, when you search for something, oftentimes you stop at the first page within Google and you are happy with the AI mode of Google giving you the information you are looking for. You don't go and click into the page, into the first link of Google anymore. Well, you do it, but you do it less often than before. According to Forbes, 60% of the Google searches ends without a click. And many people are not using Google to search. They are using their favorite AI tool. And this poses a question in the way the internet works, because it's a significant change. We have a solution that allows us to understand if the traffic is coming from a person like Alex, Rinalds, Rodolfo, or from a bot, or from an AI agent. We have this solution allow us to distinguish the traffic that is coming from a person versus the traffic that is coming from one of your competitor versus the traffic that is coming from ChatGPT or Perplexity or Google Gemini. And why is this important? Because more and more people are now searching for shopping or searching for information within an AI system, and you don't see them anymore. The AI is now actually their proxy, but you cannot ignore AI, otherwise your brand will disappear from the internet, so to speak. So that's also the reason why we have launched what we call AI brand presence, and we have started in early 2020, in mid 2025, to use it into Akamai.com. The idea is if many of the searches and interaction are happening through the AI agents, we want to make sure that the Akamai.com website has a human site, which is the one you see on the top, but it also has a site that is agent friendly. Why? Because we want the agent to be able to access information, to interact with us, because the agent likely represents a big portion of the traffic from humans today and an even bigger tomorrow. And with AI brand presence, we have the ability of adapting websites so that they are easier for the agents to use, and this will increase the presence of the brand within the responses of the different AI systems. Another key element I want to highlight is the fact that we want to secure AI interaction, and this is where Alexander will show some demo at the end of this presentation. We are all using AI in some shape and form, but let me explain what I mean with securing AI interaction. For sure, a few months ago, you might have read the news of, this is just an example, of an internal chatbot developed by McKinsey that allow an attacker to get access to many internal files. And when we look at securing the AI interaction, we look at it from two different points of view. The first one is a solution that we call Firewall for AI. If you are today exposing or thinking of exposing some type of SLM or LLM to the internet, you have your own chatbot exposed to the internet. This solution is designed to protect your LLM from different type of attacks. If you have your own LLM that is assessed by your end customer, you probably train your LLM with the sensitive data, and this can become a vehicle of exposure. So with Firewall for AI, we are monitoring what the external user are requesting to your LLM to make sure that we sanitize the input and we sanitize the output, so that if someone is trying to make some type of prompt-based attack, we have visibility of it, we can alert, and we can block about it. So this is to protect your own LLM that you are exposing to the internet. This is one type of interaction with AI. However, if we look it on the other way around, probably you and your employee are using maybe one approved AI system approved by your IT, and everything that you and your employee are doing is most likely happening within the browser. Now, one of the challenges that customer have is we have approved, for example, Gemini as the official LLM to be used by employees. However, employees are using their own Claude subscription or ChatGPT subscription, and these pose a challenge because now you might have sensitive data pasted into those non-approved LLM, and this can lead to some data leak, for example. So we have a solution that is our enterprise browser solution that allow us to help customer with the AI governance and usage control. We want to make sure that the user are only using approved AI tools, and there is no copy paste of sensitive data into non-approved ones. And Alexandre will show more at the end of my presentation. So when we want to protect AI interaction, we look at it from two different points of view. The point of view of the internet is coming to us, so we want to protect the LLM that we expose as customers, or employees are using different AI tools. Some of them are approved, some of them are not, and we want to protect the interaction of the end user, of the enterprise end user, towards the different AI tools. And to close this presentation, we have seen a few elements that we need to protect in this new AI era. However, we will be naive if we think that no breaches will happen. And the idea of the last point is that at some point, some breach will happen, and we want to make sure that the damage done by the attacker is contained as much as possible. Here you have some news article that speak about those type of issues. Those type of issues might come from an attacker using an exploit and getting access to a machine, or an attacker abusing an LLM that is exposed and having the LLM to do things that it should not do. We want to complete our offering with our segmentation capabilities. Segmenting is a concept that has been there for many years, and the idea is simple. The implementation is a little bit more complex, and we can speak about it. With segmentation, what we want to do, we want to help customer understand what is happening within their network. We want to help customer understand what are the flow of traffic within their network, define what is normal, and if there is any interaction, any connection that is not normal, we want the customer to know. So if, for example, one machine has been breached by an attacker, and this server is trying to do an SSH connection or other type of connection that is not expected, we want to have visibility about this connection as soon as possible so that we can look at it. And if we want to make sure that that server is virtually turned off so that the attacker cannot make damages. We need to understand what is happening within the network, and to do so, we also use machine learning to help customer seeing what is happening and create policy that makes sense. So to close my overview, we are in a new era. We are in an era where AI is enhancing productivity, but also introducing security challenges. And what we want to do, we want to help you stay ahead of those challenges. That's why we mentioned the protection of APIs, the need of stopping application attacks, control automation, and making AI interaction secure. And in case a breach actually happened, to contain that movement. With that, I want to pass the screen to Alexandre, who is gonna deep dive into two of those solutions that are in the area of security AI interaction. So let me stop sharing my screen, and Alexandre, feel free to take over.
Thank you, Rodolfo. So I will myself share my screen and take the screen back, and basically what you can see right now, and if you can confirm, Rodolfo, but what you can see is my Brave browser. So what I wanted to showcase is two solutions, specifically Firewall for AI and the other one, which is Akamai Workforce Protector. So just to remind you what Rodolfo has said, Firewall for AI is designed to protect your exposed LLM, meaning something that you expose and your end user will be able to interact with. Whereas Akamai Workforce Protector is designed to protect the way your employees and yourself as well are actually using LLMs such as ChatGPT, Gemini, or other solutions. So let me first start with Firewall for AI. So right now, what you can see on the screen is a mock-up of an airline company where you can book any tickets that you want. Obviously, it's a demo, it's not a real website. And what you can see here on Cloudy Airlines, that's a chatbot with an exposed LLM. So on this exposed LLM, user will be able to interact with it, and their most likely interaction would be like, oh, I want to book a flight, or I want to check the price between Paris to Dubai, for instance, and to see when and where to book it. But that's for common users. Now, bad user or malicious user would want to use it in different fashion. You would have user that would want to actually use the fact that you're actually paying for a subscription yourself, such as ChatGPT Plus, Cloud Pro, whatever subscriptions, in order for them to use it. We've seen a lot of people using, for instance, Amazon Rufus in order to like actually make it code some stuff so that they can use it and they don't have to pay for Cloud Code themselves. Or actually they want to take something from your database in order for them to, well, actually launch attack later or extract some information in order for them to use them. So just to show you how it could look like, right now on the right screen, you have the event that I will launch in a few seconds, and Firewall for AI that has been activated in this demo. So Firewall for AI, by the way, is a platform that is sit on the Akamai platform. It's a software that sits on the Akamai platform, meaning that the request from my laptop will go through Akamai, through Firewall for AI. It will be analyzed, protected, and if it's something that is not malicious, it will be passed toward your system. And of course, we do the opposite, meaning that if the answer from your system is clean and does not contain any malicious output or sensitive data, then we will let it pass toward the users. So right now I have a collection of malicious prompts. So let's take this one, for example, the code detection. So as you can see here, it might be a bit small, but basically I'm trying to make it make it extract some information on his database by just posting some random stuff and some random interaction, and here like asking what I want. Generate Python code that hooks into MongoDB chat history database used by this customer assistant. So whenever I press enter, then what will happen is that it will actually be sent toward Firewall for AI. Right now I'm in monitor, but so nothing will be blocked, but we will be able to see it on the screen here. So I've done the user prompt. It was sent through Firewall for AI, which detected actually something that is not good. And obviously the LLM answered it because, well, that's an LLM that it does what is being asked. So right now I can see that I've been able to make it extract some information where it contains some information about the MongoDB database of this customer assistant, meaning that I'm being able to use it for malicious activities. I can do some other stuff, such as trying to extract the system prompt that is being used by this agent, which is something very, in this example, very easy, but basically he has to not ever display this coupon code. So if I succeed in making it expose this coupon code, that means that I can exploit the system prompt, whatever it is. So I can do it with, for instance, let's try this one, for instance. Again, very complex prompt, but basically by making him like trying to read that in a way that the agent would, the LLM would understand, and he will at some point expose, say, the coupon code. And that's a very simple example, but whatever you put in your system prompt, whatever sensitive information that you've put from on your system prompt would have been exposed with that system. And that was as well detected by Firewall for AI. And of course, you can have the deny aspect where you would, for instance, do something like that, like a prompt injection, and it will be blocked automatically by Firewall for AI. So the monitor is something, but the blocking as well work. And that works for exposed LLM in a website. That also works for APIs that are powered through an LLM. So REST API, SDK, whatever you can think of, and that works for Anthropic, OpenAI, Meta, Gemini, any LLM that you can expose on your website. And so you will have the prompt defense. So any prompt injection, any jailbreaks, any denial of services on your exposed LLM, any PII or sensitive data leakage things would be blocked automatically by Firewall for AI in that aspect. So that's one of the question that is often asked is like, how does it work? And that makes sense. The way it works is that we are also using an LLM in order to analyze everything that is happening, and we have a super LLM with a ton of guardrail that is able to look toward every prompt that is being pasted, and therefore being able to actually block them whenever we see something bad. So that's for Firewall for AI. And now I want to switch toward Akamai Workforce Protector. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I will come back on them later with Rodolfo. So on Akamai Workforce Protector, the goal is to protect the interaction between your user, your employees, and external tools such as ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or whatever AI tools that you can think of. So most of the interaction will happen in the browser, and that's where it's interesting to monitor them and to be able to block them if there are any abuse in terms of policies. So the way many company works is that they would authorize one or two AI tools that have been vetted by their CISO or their internal security policies, and the other one would be forbidden. So, for instance, if you're using Akamai Workforce Protector, I was just reading out loud, it's an extension that is being loaded on your browser. It works with any browser, so Brave, Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Safari, even AI browsers such as Comet and other one. And the extension is being installed by MDM or other means, meaning that your users don't have to install them themselves. And it's not another browser that they need to use in order to be protected. It's the same browser that have been used to use, and they can still be protected. You cannot uninstall it. As you can see here, I'm pressing the button. I cannot disable it, and it's being forced installed on this specific browser for my laptop, but it can be installed on all the laptops, all the browser on all laptops. So right now, what I've done, and because at Akamai we are only authorized to use Gemini, so if I'm trying to load ChatGPT, I will be redirected automatically toward Gemini, as you can see. That's something that has been done by the extension by Akamai Workforce Protector. So I've typed, maybe you cannot see it, but I've typed ChatGPT and I've been redirected automatically to gemini.google.com. Okay. Now I'm on my personal account. As you can see here, it's my personal account, darshalex@gmail.com. And if I'm trying to put something or to write something, let's say I want to send an offer on Akamai Workforce Protector. You can see the pop-up. I've pressed enter, and you can see the pop-up here. It's forbidden to use Gemini on your personal account because within Akamai, within the policy set up with Akamai Workforce Protector, which is something fully customizable, I've forbidden the fact to use a non-Akamai account, meaning that I have to be logged on Gemini on my Akamai account in order to interact with Gemini. Otherwise, it will be blocked. So it's the first layer of protection against sensitive data leakage, because if I'm using my personal account, although it's a tool that is vetted by my company, it's still not on the same data lake, for instance, or not on the same data center that the data will be sent. So that's not something that we want to authorize. So I need to use my professional account. And right now you will see that the same interaction will be obviously authorized. Now, of course, people will use Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT in different fashion, and the way most people are doing them is they are just copy and pasting stuff. So you've received an email and you want to have help from the LLM to be able to answer to the email, and you will just like copy and paste the email. For instance, you will just do something like that. I'm just going to paste an email. So for instance, can you help me answer the following email? And that's the invitation from this webinar. And you will just like press enter, and therefore you would send the email with all the sensitive information on Gemini. Now, what it did, and I don't see if you've seen it, but it actually redacted the email before I sent the actual prompt, so that every pieces of internal information or email information or sensitive information is actually being redacted. Okay, that works for emails, but that also works for code or for any like passport information, any pieces of information that looks like something sensitive. So for instance, if you have developers and they're just like pasting like a suite of code, for instance, you would have user doing that. Like I want to modify my AWS secret key, for instance, and they would just paste the overall like AWS secret key. And now what happened is that it detected that I've pasted something, and it detected like all those information, like AWS access key, secret key, IPv4, IPv6, everything that is related to a PII. And as you can see here, it actually redacted them automatically. And now I can press enter and actually send it and start working on it on a secure fashion, meaning that I won't expose any internal secret from my company toward an external tool. And that works with Gemini, with Claude, with ChatGPT, and with also any other tool that is on the browser, not just AI tools. And the same thing that happened with text also can happen with files or images. For instance, if I want to, let's assume that I'm a sales guy and I want to work on an offer on Workforce Protector. So can you help me analyze this awesome offer from Akamai? and then I'm just gonna upload a file. Then I've just pressed upload. I don't know if you've seen the fact that I've uploaded something, but I've just uploaded like a proposal from Akamai, and it was detected as something that is not supposed to be sent toward Gemini because it contains customer related information. So that I'm not able to upload sensitive information, even if it's just company names or stuff like that, on Gemini, on the specified AI tools. Now, of course, all of those are fully customizable in the sense that you can configure the policy however you want and based on every information that you want. So right now, I've exploited events that are happening in the browser based on the paste. So whenever I'm pasting something, it analyzes the content I'm pasting, whenever I'm uploading something, and whenever I'm writing something. But you could also have other stuff such as downloading files or making sure to verify things that have been copied. So not just pasting, but like if your user are using Gemini and Gemini is suggesting like a piece of code that looks like something that is bad, for instance, like ARM wildcard. So that's something that will delete everything on your laptop. Then that's something that you can detect. So it's really every events that happen on the browser. So everything that is sorry, writing, pasting, uploading, downloading, visiting a specific page, everything that happened on the browser can be, you can define a policy based on that and being secure on that aspect. And of course, for your end user, that's all they will see. But for your power user, meaning the people who will have access to the tool, they will be able to see the interface. So this is the interface where you can control whatever your user are trying to do. So you can define the policies, and you can also as well have visibility on what they are doing and the way they are behaving. So right now you can see that on the left side, we have the AI usage. That's the thing that we are focusing on this webinar. But there are other other features that are part of this Akamai Workforce Protector tool, such as DLP. That's also something that we've covered. Extension analysis and SAS and identity analysis, meaning that you can apply everything that I show you to Google Drive, for instance, or Salesforce or other tool like that. And on that note, I think it's good. It's the time for Q&A. So we will switch to that.
Yes, Alexander, thank you. Thank you. We have a few questions. I think that was already answered, but I read it again. What is the appliance software? Can it be installed on-prem or it is a cloud service? How it can be deployed? Regarding a firewall for AI.
So, Rodolfo, do you want to answer or should I answer?
Sure. We can. I can go ahead with this one. So Firewall for AI is a cloud service. It cannot be installed on-prem for the time being. And there are two ways you can integrate with Firewall for AI. One is to have Akamai as a proxy in the middle, which is our standard approach when we want to protect websites from DDoS attacks and other type of attacks. So we will be in the middle and we will see the input and the output, and we can apply Firewall for AI rule. The other option, if you don't want the first one, is to use REST API. So we expose REST APIs. You send the inputs and output to us, and we respond with changes if needed. So you can either have Akamai inline, or you can have REST API to integrate with us. I hope I answered the question. If not, please feel free to ask another one.
Okay, thank you. The next one from Nerius. Is it a separate solution firewall for AI or included in other licenses? And the second part for this is, does the plugin works in private mode browser also?
I have the feeling that this question is divided into two. The first part is related to Firewall for AI. Firewall for AI is a specific solution that can integrate and can work with other solutions like our App and API protector, but it has its own SKU, if you will. While I think the second part of the question is related to the does the plugin work in private mode browser? I think this is related to Workforce Protector. Alex, do you want to take this over?
Yeah, sure. Sure. So yes, in short, the plugin work or the extension work in incognito mode or in private mode, and it works for all the browser, meaning like, Safari incognito mode, Chrome incognito mode, Brave incognito mode, like everything that is in private mode. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving forward. So Workforce Protector is useful only for public AI tools. It does not provide any value for AI tools with closed corporative environments, like Microsoft Copilot for enterprise data protections, where user queries stays on enterprise tenants.
So on that part, the Workforce Protector solution works for all websites, meaning that it works for like public AI's website, but it will also work for internal tenants. So if you're using like something like mycompany.copilot.com or copilot.mycompany.com, for instance, whatever one, it will still work. You will still be able to define policies. You will still be able to define acceptable usage policies, because something that we have not shown is I've only focused right now on the security aspect, meaning to not expose sensitive information on public website. But you could have also the same thing with making your internal LLM send some bad information toward your end user, or making them use your private LLM to do something that is not compliant with your acceptable usage policies. So on that part, the answer would be that you can still get value from them, and you can still be able to restrict your end user from doing stuff that you don't want to see. For instance, let's assume that with MS Copilot, you have a subscription where every document that is uploaded costs you a lot of money, for instance, and you want to restrict that toward a bunch of users. Then on Akamai Workforce Protector, you would be able to do that. You would, for instance, be able to disable the upload for a specific part of end user and only allow it for a specific part of user. So that's also where you can get value from the tool. It's really how you can manage how you want your user to use an AI tools, and not only on the security aspect, but it's the overall picture.
Okay, thank you. Questions are coming in. Regarding browsers, which are the best suited for AI workflows, management and control?
To be fair, I'm not sure I understand the question.
I think it's about which browser suits the best. Either it's Chrome or Edge or Firefox or something like that. I read it again. So regarding browsers, which are the best suited for AI workflows, management, and control?
Alex, there is a follow-up question later on which says, I noticed that in the demo you use Brave. Does it have any advantages? So I think we can interpret the question in two ways.
Okay, that makes sense. Now I understand. So there is really no advantage to use Brave. It's just for me to showcase like a specific browser that is separate from my Chrome usage. So there is no really advantages on using Brave or Chrome or Safari for AI workflow management. I could argue that if you want to have an AI workflow management and control, you would want, or you would not want to enable like AI browser, in the sense that those will escape fairly quickly, those the component that you're trying to protect. But apart from that, like every Chromium or Mozilla browser would be the same regardless.
Okay, thank you. And now the next question also, I see it's separated in two parts. So the question sounds, REST API for what? REST for next generation firewall, MCP?
So this is related, this is coming from the same person that asked the question about how to integrate Firewall for AI. I clarify. If you want to have Firewall for AI for your own chatbot, you can have Akamai in the middle, and this will be option number one. The second option is to use REST API, which means that you will have your chatbot that will send the input that is getting from the user to the Akamai REST APIs for Firewall for AI for inspection. And then it will also send the output of the LLM to Akamai. So the REST API are the Akamai REST API for Firewall for AI. I hope this clarifies the implementation.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one, does Akamai work only on text modality, or does it also analyze the uploaded docs? For example, PDFs with sensitive data, etc.
Yes. So if we're talking about Akamai Workforce Protector, which is, I believe, the content of the question, then yes, whenever you're trying to upload a PDF, for instance, with sensitive data, Excel file or whatever type of file that you can think of, then it will be analyzed. So you have the text analysis on the PDF, for instance, but you also have OCR that is being done on images that you're trying to upload. So that if you are, let's say, trying to upload like a passport photo or just a picture of sensitive data, trying to make Gemini or whatever LLM works on it, then it will be detected and blocked accordingly to the policy that you have set up.
Thank you. I think this is also the continuation about the browsers. How about Edge browser? You didn't mention it. Does it work with plugin?
Yes, sorry. So yeah, so every browser basically, from Chrome to Mozilla to Edge to Safari to even like Comet, Atlas, those AI browser, Akamai Workforce Protector would be able to be installed on them and being able to protect them on that aspect.
Okay. Then from my side, the question would be either it's only a plugin for browsers or also it can be set up as agent on the endpoints.
So yes, what I've shown today was on the browser, meaning that it's an extension that you install and it's being able to analyze everything that you're doing on the browser. But obviously, not all interaction are being done on the browser, but some are doing it on the laptop directly. And for that, we have an agent that you can install and that will do more or less what the extension is doing, but on other type of applications. So not just browser, but like other software, like yeah. So yes.
Okay, thanks. The layer X configuration, what you showed, this monitoring part, uh, gives information about the users, what they use, how they use, and how responsibly they use the AI tools, right? And later on, you can contact them and have some trainings, internal trainings about the internal policy, something like that.
Exactly. You can either analyze what they're doing, and if it's not in compliance with your internal policy, then you can interact with them if you want, or you can just prevent what they are doing and not have this conversation if you do not feel like having it, and like keeping it on the security level.
Yeah.
So for sure, yeah.
Okay, and the continuation about the question you answered before, how about Claude for desktop?
So on those type of applications such as ChatGPT, Cloud Desktop, and other, that would be through the agent. So the agent would be able to interact with and protect them. You also have the same thing with AI used in IDE, such as VS Code, for instance. That's also something that we can protect with Akamai Workforce Protector, but it's on the agent and not on the extension per se of the browser, which is what I've shown today. It's available, it's just not what I've shown today.
Yeah, and there was a question. Okay. Yeah, this was about Paul desktop. So yeah, maybe we can. We have 3 minutes left. Maybe someone else have some questions to ask. If not, maybe Alexander, Rodolfo, you have some words to say to our audience, and before we end this webinar.
My words are very simple. It's basically I want to thank everyone who joined and has been here with us. We hope that you find this useful. And of course, the idea is if anything is especially interesting and you want to discuss it with your specific implementation and situation, please reach out to Hermitage. We are here to help, and we are glad to discuss specific situation in more detail about pricing or about specific details. So the call to action is if there is anything that you like or that is interesting, please let us know, and we are happy to speak.
Okay, thank you. It was a great pleasure meeting you and hearing much of interesting stuff from you. Alexander, Rodolfo, thank you for visiting us.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.